Hello, this is Chris Vody. I'm going to start trying to do videos. Oh, it just sort of went live. It must have done it in the middle of talking. Hi, this is Chris Vody, and I'm going to start doing videos for you. And it's going to be kind of my new project in 2015. I'm doing a lot of new things for my website in 2015. And this I kind of did on a whim. Um, I'm basically going to be looking at some books today on Amazon. Amazon's having an interesting sale. I think it's Christmas season, but I can get a lot of books for free right now. Now, if you know anything about me, you know why I'm doing this. But for those who don't, I'm disabled and I can't work, but I want to be a writer and I want to make it as a writer. And one of the things that you have to do to be a good writer is to read other people's works. So I have to take advantage of when books are free to get them, or if people donate books to me for me to read. So yeah, I would actually prefer to um, pay for these if I could. So I could support writers because I'd want people to support me just the same. And I hope one day, if I ever make it as a writer, I can do that. But for now, I kind of have to take it for free. But as I look at these ones for free, I'm starting to notice a couple of patterns here, and I kind of wanted to address some of that. Now, one of the most important things when it comes to writing is writing a good story. But the second, which actually gets people to buy your stuff, is marketing, and book descriptions is a big part of that. So I'm going to kind of share with you my experience of doing this. Now, I'm on a laptop right now, and I have my desktop right here. So, I'm looking at stuff here. I'm actually going to do a screen share onto the laptop so you can see what I'm seeing. A way to get some of these writers some attention, and maybe you can go and buy the book for yourself if you want. If you're curious about back here, in these two locations behind me, that's my bookshelf. That's my reference library. Kind of putting my room back together again. Long story, but it's part of the reason why I've been inactive with my blog for a long time. This over here is my reading library, but you can't see it. Um, Behind me here is my writer's block wall, but it also has my calendar of things to do every day that I need to for writing and for seeing doctors. This right here is my writing wall. Up here is just some reference information, some quick stuff that I can look at to help enhance my writing. This right here is my characters for my current work right now. You'll see that there's 5 of them, and it's actually a couple of pages each, but it allows me to still pull quick reference. Since I'm a character-driven writer, I print out these sheets that give me all sorts of information that I can quickly reference. I could do it all on the computer, but there's something about having something physical to touch, which helps enhance the experience, in my opinion. But enough delaying. So let's go ahead and start some screen share. Now I'm going to look up these one by one on here, but I have multiple tabs on my desktop. So we're on our wonderful site, Amazon. Yes, I know that there's some controversy with Amazon, but for now, it's a wonderful site. So, first book we're going to take a look at. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do, but it's called The Written. If I can actually type. I'm sorry if this is being sluggish right now. There we go. So let's take a look at this one real quick. So it is free. .460 pages. That's quite a long book to read. Um, One thing to avoid that I've been told is using the word series, because if it's like book one of something, it's definitely a series. Probably go Emaneska book one or something like that, or Emaneska Legacies. Use something other than series. Not necessarily a criticism, but it's a way of helping, and this is some of the lessons I've learned. 113 reviews, that's almost enough to get it for yourself, but you got to ask yourself, is it really worth getting? Since I actually ordered myself a Kindle thanks to a gift card I was given this year. I'm going to start trying to read more on my Kindle. I would get the hardback book because I do actually love books, but okay, so scrolling down a bit. Okay, so let's look at the book description. Is there enough information here for me to really read it? Now, what I like about this book description is it takes an advice that I like to give people, which is write it like a movie trailer. You know, the movie voice guy, in a world where sex robots require you pay up front, you know, something stupid like that, but it has an amazing effect. If you think in terms of that, writing a book description becomes it becomes its own little adventure. So I'm going to try to read these as a movie voice guy so I can kind of show you the strengths and weaknesses that they have. His name was Farden. They whispered that he's dangerous. Dangerous is only the half of it. Dangerous is only the half of it. Yeah, it's good. It's a little bit weak, but it's good. Something has gone missing from the libraries of Arfel. Something very odd and something very powerful. You're using very a little too much. Try to reduce that a bit. And you just used it twice in one sentence. So you could have probably have gone with something old and quite powerful. 5 scholars are now dead. A country is once again on the brink of war, and the Magic Council is running out of time and options. You could probably just use one or the other. Using both is a bit cliche. Running out of time or running out of options. Because you're almost kind of saying the same thing at that point. It's a little bit different, but for a book description, you kind of want to get the information out quick. So I would probably try to say like running out of time, which means that you have a limitation of options anyways. So if I was to redo that line, it would be something like, something has gone missing from the libraries of Arfel, something old and quite powerful. 5 scholars are now dead, and the country is once again on the brink of war, and the Magic Council is running out of time. See how that sounds? It sounds like it really builds. Entangled in a web of lies and politics. And you could probably use one or the other. Using both like that is a bit weak. Entangled in a web of lies or entangled in a web of politics. Politics is kind of a complicated word. Probably want to just drop that and just say entangled in a web of lies. I can understand if politics is a part of it, but I mean, you're almost saying the same thing again, once again, because politics is full of lies. You probably also mean bureaucracy as well, and that's kind of goes in with everything. So I dropped the politics and dragged halfway across icy Emaneska and back. Well, here's the thing. You're using a word that no one's really going to know. And it's probably the name of a place, given what the next line reads. I would try to use something a little bit descriptive. You know, something like an icy tundra or an icy palace or an icy realm. And saying the and back, it's kind of overkill. Farden must unearth a secret that even he doesn't want to know. A secret that will shake the foundation of his world. Well, secret that he doesn't want to know. I see what you're doing there. It's okay. I do like the shake the foundation of the world. Good, powerful word there. Dragons, drug, magic, death, and the deepest betrayal awaits. That just really seems that you're trying to perhaps these things are featured within the book, but kind of like dragons, drugs, and death. I mean, the magic kind of throws that out of the window. It's like dragons, drugs, death. And those are just a few of the betrayals that await. You know, something like that. The deepest of betrayals. So if I was to redo this, I'd probably be like entangled in a web of lies and dragged halfway across an icy realm. Barden must unearth a secret that he doesn't want to know. A secret that will shake the foundations of his worlds. Dragons, drugs, death. And that's just a few of the betrayals he must face. Welcome to Amaneska. See, that part right there, welcome to Amaneska, that's wonderful. That's perfect. You guys can't see it on here. Let me do this. So that's really what a description should be, what I read. This is not bad. And in fact, I decided to go ahead and pick this up. I thought the book description was good, but reading it like a movie trailer, you can see how you can make it a little bit better. This was done in December 1st, 2010. Shout out to Ben Galley. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. If you hear this and want to use what I said for your description, go ahead. Feel free to do it. I hope it sells you more stuff. So I went ahead and picked it up. I hope one of these days I get time to read it. I've probably picked up over 200 books so far. I've already done science fiction yesterday, so I'm not going to go back through that again. So let's go to another book. And I'm looking up these. This one, this is what inspired me to do this video here. But let's move on. The rest of these I haven't actually reviewed, so I don't know what to expect. The Call of Agon, Book 1 of the Children of Helm. So he doesn't use the word series there. The Book 1 of, it's fine. It's better than using series. So it's a step in the right direction. 63 customer reviews. I don't care about Kobo Books. No offense to Kobo Books. 384 pages. A little bit on the long side. I'm not really a fantasy person, but I want to start reading more fantasy books because I want to start writing fantasy books. Now, right away, this has already bothered me because it's advertising for something else. Now, you can put this at the end. I can understand putting it at the front and say, hey, for a limited time, you can get the memory of Magnus, a short story set in the world of the Call of Agon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. For free here, bit.ly Dean F. Wilson. Just copy and paste in your browser. If you need to tell people to copy and paste in your browser, that's a little bit on the sad side. Honestly, that's just me. But also that you're using bit.ly. And I've gone to the site, and it's deanfwilson.com/free books. I would have used that instead, because the bit.ly kind of makes you look a little unprofessional, in my opinion. You should have a .com, because if people see that you have a .com, it makes you kind of like, oh, this is a serious writer. It's stupid that that's the kind of reaction that people get, but it is marketing, and that's how marketing works. You only get 5 seconds. Let's be fair. You get about a minute to give someone a good impression. You don't want to waste any seconds with that. But oftentimes what I see in these book descriptions is like, hey, go and get my next book. It's available now. And it's like, but I want to find out about this book. You've already wasted my time, telling me about something else. If I like the book, put it at the end of your book. Hey, new book is being released. But, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So let me go ahead and extend this. Now, one thing that pops out at me is Enter the World of Iraldus, Answer the Call of Agon. Agon, Agon. I kind of like Agon. That's just me. So, I mean, Enter the World, it sounds like, oh, this is a tale that we can get immersed in. And then also in bold, the last line, the last words, the last chance. Definitely sounds like something a movie voice guy would say. The last line, the last words, the last chance. This time, it's personal. Okay, but, the other thing that strikes me, you don't see it here, but on my computer I see this right away. Interview with the author. If I want to see your interview, go send me to a website, You can put it on the bottom, fine, but I don't need to see an interview to convince me to read it. If anything, it seems like you're being a little bit on the desperate side. You're trying a little too hard to try to get me to buy it. And okay, so let's take a look at the introduction. Iferon is one of the last in the bloodline of the dead god Telm, who mated with mortal women and imprisoned the beast Agon in the underworld. This is a weird sentence. Iferon is the last in the bloodline of the dead god Telm. Okay, that's a good opening. Who mated with mortal women. Okay. And who imprisoned the beast Argon in the underworld. That's a weird sentence. The beast Argon in the underworld. That's just a weird way of saying it. Probably beast of Argon in the underworld. Iferon is one of the last in the bloodline of the dead god Telm, who mated with mortal women, and who imprisoned the beast of Agon in the underworld. I would probably take out mated with mortal women, but if you leave it in there, it doesn't really hurt it too much. Armed with a connection to the estranged gods in the overworld and a scroll bearing Telm's powerful dying words, he is tasked with ensuring the gods' vital legacy, that Agon remain vanquished. Okay, so Agon's not a world, it's a beast of some sort. You're using the word Agon again twice. I know it's called the Call of Agon, but I'd probably use the beast because it kind of has more of a bravada. Armed with a connection to the estranged gods in the overworld and a scroll bearing Telm's powerful dying words. You're bearing and powerful. You could probably replace bearing with of a scroll of Telm's powerful dying words. Although I'm kind of left to question, how are these words powerful, dying words? You could probably say, since we have already established that Telm is a god, we could probably just say Telm's dying wish or Telm's last words. The estranged gods, I can kind of see where you're going with that, armed with a connection to the estranged gods in the overworld. I would probably say forgotten instead of estranged, because estranged is a complicated word. It kind of can okay, that's a weird word. armed with a connection to the forgotten world gods of the overworld, and a scroll with Telm's last words or something like that. Now, powerful dying words. It kind of gets me. Helm's scroll of his. Well, let's keep dying words because we can take powerful out there because it's just kind of saying the same thing. Okay, armed with a connection to the forgotten gods of the overworld, and a scroll bearing Helm's dying words. Scroll of Telm's dying words. And a scroll of Telm's dying words. He is tasked with ensuring the gods' vital legacy, that the beast remain vanquished. Fear forces Ephron to abandon his duty, but terror restores his quest when the face of Aegon finds his hideaway in an isolated coastal monastery. It feels like you're kind of revealing a major plot point. It's like, oh, well, he runs away to a monastery to try to hide from it, and then he's found. It's kind of like, what compels me to read this story? Because you kind of already gave a major plot point away. And that's the challenge of doing these things, is you want to give something for someone. So, you want to give them a reason to read it, but at the same time, you don't want to reveal too much, and that's a hard thing to do when he is hunted down by the beast of Aegon. That's probably what I would say. Fear forces Ephron to abandon his duty, but terror restores his quest when he is hunted down by the beast of Aegon. See, it still says the same thing, but it doesn't reveal any plot points. Weighed down by the worry of the world, but lifted up by the companions he encounters along the way, Ephron embarks on a journey that encompasses the struggles of the people, the siege of many lands, and discoveries that could bring hope to some or doom to all. Okay, so weighed down by the worries of the world, good. But lifted up by his companions he encounters along the way. I take out the word but. Ephron embarks on a journey that encompasses the struggles of many peoples. I kind of take that out. Encompasses the struggle that all men face. The siege of many lands, war-torn lands, probably I would say, and discoveries that could bring hope to some or doom to all. I do really like that right there. So let's do this again if I remember it. Weighed down by the worries of the world, but lifted up by the companion. Oh, I messed up already. Weighed down by the worries of the world, lifted up by the companions he encounters along the way. Along the way is a little bit wordy, so he meets on his journey. Let's do that. Weighed down by the worry of the world, lifted up by the companions he meets on his journey. Ephron embarks on a journey that encompasses the struggles of man, lands sieged by war, and the discovery that could bring hope to some or doom to all. For this book, see, that sounds so much better when you do it like that. That's why I always recommend doing it. I'm going to go ahead and get this book. Sounds like it might have some promise. Again, special shout out to Dean F. Wilson on that one. Let's see, what do we got next? The final formula. I'm the only one who's thinking of the final countdown. It's the final countdown. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na. It's the final formula. Da-na-na-na. Yeah. helps if I actually select it, but here we go. The Final Formula by Becca Andre. 142 customer reviews. That's very good. Okay, 377 pages. Another book on the long side. The Final Formula Series Book 1. No offense, but that sounds like a racing car. And the fact that the series is named after the first book. You kind of want to make the series and the book stand apart from each other. I mean, with my book, the Dagar Legacy, the first book is called Templar 5. There's a difference between the individual book and the books in the series. That doesn't mean that I won't ever have a book named Dagar Legacy, but I want people to, when they hear Dagar Legacy, they think of the series of books. When they hear Templar 5, they think of the specific book. Once again, using series here again. Let's go ahead and take a look. Looks like this is all the book description. All right. To a master alchemist like Addy, impossible is just another word for challenge. Good. Very good. I like that there. When a fiery explosion destroys the Alchemica, wherever the hell that is, the primer out. Oh, that's what it is. So let's go with this first. Well, let me read this whole thing. When a fiery explosion destroys the Alchemica, the premier alchemy institute in the United States, she's left with nothing. Okay, so I could probably take out the word Alchemica because it's a complicated word and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. You could probably, since this is the Premier Alchemy Institute, you could probably also drop the United States because it's almost like you kind of alienate people right away who are outside the United States. It's like, oh, it's just a United States specific book. And yeah, they're going to discover that when they read the book, but it might detract some people away. It's like, oh, it's a U.S. specific book. Okay, well, not my thing. It's weird how people work. So I'd probably take out the United States, the Institute, when a fiery explosion destroys her lab. You could probably get away with that. And then she's left with nothing. When a fiery explosion destroys her lab, she's left with nothing. So much better, so much easier to say, quicker, to the point. Well, let me say that together so you can get the effect. To a master alchemist like Addy, impossible is just another word for challenge. When a fiery explosion destroys her lab, she's left with nothing. No home, no colleagues, and no memory. How does an explosion cause no memory? You probably want to take that no memory to kind of paint it a little bit more. When a fiery explosion destroys her lab, she is left with nothing. She finds herself in a hospital bed with nothing, with no memory of what's happened. Well, I don't know, because I mean, if she's left with nothing, that kind of goes into the whole, lost her memory. If you're saying that she has complete amnesia, that would be the thing to focus on. She has no idea who she is. If she just has no memory of the events that happened, that's what I would try to paint there. And how is her losing her lab or institute, unless she lived on the campus, So there's just like a lot of things here that I'm left questioning, and it kind of seems a bit on the weak side. So probably like saying something along the lines of when a fiery explosion destroys um, her life, her friends, her work, something along those lines. Because you have a good opening here. When a fiery explosion destroys, it's getting right into the action, and then it's like, this seems a little weird. So this is probably something that takes a little bit more time to decide instead of coming up with a quick thing in a second. But I would probably say something along the line, a fiery explosion changed her life. And now she is left with no home, no friend, and no memory of what's happened. Much better. Learning what happens seems impossible, but she still has one strength, and in her opinion, it's the only one she needs. She hasn't forgotten a thing about alchemy. It's a little bit on the wordy side there. Hold on, I think I got a comment on my video. Brenda Mercado is asking me, how am I? I've been better, but that's kind of like every day of my disability, so can't really say anything good about it. I'm trying to be positive. All right, so this is a little bit on the wordy side. Learning what happens seems impossible. Well, impossible is just another word for challenge. But she still has one strength, and in her opinion, it's the only one she needs. I try to play this a little bit differently. Like still has one ace in her sleeve, the thing that will help her discover the truth, alchemy. Forgotten a thing about alchemy. You could probably say she hasn't forgotten about alchemy, but even then that's worded. So the learning about what happens seems impossible, but impossible is just another word for challenge. And if she hasn't forgotten about alchemy, it kind of seems like, I don't know, you're working against yourself in this description. Learning what happened. No, the world is against her learning the truth. She still has an ace in her sleeve. Alchemy. Addie brews a potion to restore her lost past, but remembers only the flame of the alchemy's destruction and a man among the ashes. Well, it's not really a big deal of her losing her memory if she can create a potion for it. That kind of seems like a letdown. Oh, she's lost her memory in the flames, but then she creates a potion and now she can remember things. I mean, that kind of seems like you're building a lot of hype up for something that's just going to be resolved 10 minutes later. But, where you're going with this. So what I probably would have done differently then is, when a fiery explosion changes her life, she is left with no home and no friends. The world seems against her in learning the truth, but she has one ace in her sleeve. Alchemy. I don't know. It also seems like you're having a plot point here. I would have left out the memory altogether from this, because it's possible that just because a fiery explosion happened doesn't necessarily means that she knows everything that did happen. She has to discover. Looking into what's happened with her advanced skills in alchemy. She's able to discern what happened. I mean, I don't know how that would actually happen. I guess you've just kind of lost me at this point. A man with elemental power of fire. Elemental power of fire as opposed to non-elemental power of fire. I mean, fire is an element after all, so I mean, who just happens to be the leader of the magical community. He might know what happened, but getting him to tell her will require some creativity. The magical aren't fond of alchemists. Some say it borders on hatred. But Addie isn't one to back down from a challenge, even if that challenge happens to be the man who can turn her to ash with a thought. I'm sorry, but if you took out the second paragraph right here altogether and just left what I told you to use, I probably would get this. You've kind of lost me with the second paragraph, and I'm sorry to say, I'm sure your book is good. I mean, you have 142 people that gave you 4.5 star average, and not even a 1 star either. So, I'm sorry, Becca. If you want to use my stuff, any author I mentioned on here, if you want to use what I use, go ahead. I don't care. You don't have to name me as a source, but I'm sorry, you've lost me immediately with the second paragraph, and it convinces me. And if this is how you write this, it makes me wonder how you're going to write your book. So it might seem wrong of me, but I'm going to pass on this book. The Sword of Sighs. Sighs? S-I-G-H-S? Sighs? Sword of Sighs? Okay. It's a weird name, but let's check it out. I mean, if we just went on things by name, the Grapes of Wrath might have sounded like a war on grapes. I don't know. Greg James. Well, The Age of the Flame, Book 1. Oh, that's very good. You're separating between the book and the series. You're not using the word series. Oh, don't care about that. Okay, 307 pages. Best books of 2014. Wow. You have to let me know it's the Amazon #1 dark fantasy bestseller. Okay. Now, I can understand being proud of that, but let's go ahead and take a look at this. Sarah Bean lives in a quiet life in Okeechobee, Florida. I don't know if that's an actual place, and sorry to anyone who actually lives there if it is for mispronouncing that, which I'm sure I did. But that's enough to kind of detract someone's like, what the hell is that? Is that a made-up place? I'd probably just say a quiet place in Florida. Sorry, let me read the rest. Until one day she is transported from our world to a fantastical realm of Saith. Saith is a little bit strange of the world, but since you're trying to say that she's taken to, a place unknown to her, using it is fine. So I'd probably say Sarah Bean lives a quiet life in a coastal city of Florida. I mean, that's kind of like almost every city is a coastal city, but, Or you could just say a quiet life on the west, it's the East Coast. Wow, my geography's bad. Or just a quiet life in Florida. Let's just go with Florida. Sarah Bean lives a quiet life in Florida until the day she is transported from our world to a fantastic realm of Saith. Okay, well, it's good so far. She meets a wayfaring wizard called Osin, who saves her from the dreaded Black Riders, servants of a being known only as the Fallen One. That's actually good. It's a little bit wordy, but it works. Together, they will have to undertake a treacherous journey to the far-away Fellhorn Mountains. You could probably take away the far away part, because, we often think about mountains being quite a distance away, but, you have to travel somewhere. It's a treacherous journey, so far away is a little bit off-putting, where Sarah must find the one weapon that can save them from the Black Riders pursuing them, the Sword of Sighs. Okay, so together they will have to undertake a treacherous journey to the Fellhorn Mountains, which is what I would say, and where Sarah must find the one weapon that can save them from the Black Riders pursuing them. I would probably, because it also seems like it's kind of revealing a plot detail that I'd probably get in it. So I'd probably say together they will undertake a treacherous journey to the Fellhorn Mountains. Probably want to put mountains in plural. Where Sarah, while being pursued by the Black Riders, Sarah's only hope is the Sword of Sighs. And that's how I'd kind of do it. Then gives a warning that it contains occasional bad language and scene of a graphic nature. Mature young adults. So kind of makes me worried that it's a young adult book. Make sure no one's actually giving me a comment. No, they haven't. All right. So, I don't know. It seems like it'd be good. Then shows the complete trilogy. I'm not even sure if I want to read it, and you're already telling me that. Giving me some comments here, that's nice, but that's kind of what the reviews down below are. I don't necessarily know who Anne Booze and Books is. And Sane Dynamics book review. That's why we have reviews on the bottom. So, the first one is Anne Booze and Books Blogspot. I'm going to pass on this one, Greg, James. It sounds like it might be an interesting book, but it also kind of sounds a lot the same as other books. I haven't really captured this. Oh, apparently I purchased this on February 11th, 2014. So I already ordered the book. So I was going to pass on it, but I guess I'll read it at some future time. So I guess I can't escape there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our next book. I think I'm only going to do these couple few. I don't want to waste your time all night or all day. Whenever you look at this, it's like 4 in the morning here. I do better at nighttime, so. There we go. I don't really know what the name Gehenna is, but West of Hell Book 1. It's kind of captured me. 178 pages. A nice medium read. Written by Jason Brandt. Kudos on the name there. I hope it's real. This book is DRM free. Okay. Well, it's not exactly a selling point for me, but I'm sure it is for someone. And ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. Leviticus 26:29. Well, I'm an atheist, so I'm not really a big fan of the Bible, but it does show a bit of creativity that he is pulling out a Bible verse, as grim as that is. So that's a point in my book. When two cannibalistic, gravely wounded men stagger into the town of Genna, all hell breaks loose. Probably need a comma there. I would probably take out the two cannibalistic parts because that kind of seems a bit revealing. You could probably say when two gravely wounded men stagger into town of Genna, all hell breaks loose. Kind of adds a little bit of a mystery already. Infamous outlaw, Mad Dog McCall. Really? Mm-hmm. Stuck in the city jail, must fight for his life to escape. Well, okay, I mean, it seems a bit cliche that his name is Mad Dog, but, outlaws are going to have comical names, so why not? So I'm not going to dock you for that. The line, infamous outlaw, stuck in the city jail, must fight for his life to escape. I would probably go with Mad Dog McCall, the infamous outlaw, is behind bars. Well, let's see here. Because this is not easy to decide right away. You kind of have to work this, rework this, rework this again. Infamous outlaw. No. Mad Dog McCall, the infamous outlaw, is now behind bars. The lonely, intelligent, and snarky Karen must make horrific sacrifices and survive the night against the growing army of the dead. So we're kind of switching, we're kind of introducing characters in this that seem to have no connection to each other. We kind of want to have a continuous thought here. I mean, if we're going to introduce characters, we're going to say, we need to say that we're doing that to some degree. In this case, I would say go with one or the other, not both. Together, they set upon a journey of biblical proportions, fighting against the living and the infected, hoping against hope, to find a safe haven in the middle of hell. The Old West cannot fathom, I'd use cannot instead of can't, the zombie horde that is about to consume it. Okay, so if I was to rework this, because it's already lost me in all honesty, but if I was to rework this, two must fight against, well, probably, yeah, I would start with that. Say that two must fight against the hell that has been brought to this town. When two gravely wounded men stagger into the town of Genna, all hell breaks loose. Two must fight the overwhelming odds, an infamous outlaw, and a lonely, intelligent, and snarky girl. Both must make horrific sacrifices to survive the night against the growing army of the dead. See how I did that? We can still get a lot of information of them. We don't necessarily even need to know their names. It still adds to the mystery. Together they set upon a journey of biblical proportions. Seems like you're trying to push a narrative here. You already gave us a biblical quote. And they're in hell, so, I mean, or it seems like hell. So that's kind of where you lost me. It seems like you're really trying to push a Christian narrative here, even in this horrible setting. I probably would have taken that. Together they set upon a journey fighting against the living and the infected. Hoping against hope, well, that's a little bit cliche. probably just so if I were to reread this, I'd be saying together they set upon a journey, fighting against the living and the infected, seeking safe haven in the middle of hell. And then I'd probably just end it there. The Old West cannot fathom the zombie horde that's about to consume it. Cliche as well. So, I'm sorry this book has lost me. And no, I haven't magically bought this before. So, I'm sorry, Jason Brandt. You had a very good introduction, a very good beginning of it, and then you lost me. So, I mean, you have 98 people who gave this a good review, but, you know, I have a lot of books that I'm wanting to read, so you have to kind of set yourself apart from everyone else. So, if it sounds interesting to you, you definitely go check it out, but, you know, I'm going to pass on this. Let's go ahead. Nightblade, episode 1. Helps that I'm a bad speller. Not really understanding what this whole episode thing is, but given that it's 37 pages, it looks like it's just a novella. 160-page review. Now, my first book was like 33 pages long, so I'm not going to judge it based on that. If anything, that's going to make me more interested in buying it. Once again, you're doing Nightblade episode 1, and then the Nightblade episodes book 1. So, I mean, the series seems to be called Nightblade and then episode 1, but you have to make sure that I also know that this is episode book 1. So very confusing. I'd probably just get away with doing Nightblade episode 1, or actually giving this book a title and then saying Nightblade episode 1 instead of saying book right there. Garrett Robinson, 160 reviews. Okay, let's take a look at this. So I'm almost done with reading all of these tonight, so let's go ahead and expand this a little bit. So already I'm noticing some bigger words in gold here, which on white, it's a little hard for me to read on my desktop screen. On this, it's not so bad. On my laptop screen, fight for your dream or they will take it from you. Okay, sometimes all we need is a push. It kind of sounds like bad motivational posters or, you know, daily affirmations. Let's go ahead. Fight for your dream or they will take it from you. Yeah, I'd probably say something along the lines of fight for your dreams, else it be taken from you. Sounds a little bit piratey, but it's a little bit more epic. An epic tale of adventure with characters you'll never forget. Okay, let me decide that. Don't tell me for me. Everyone begins their life dreaming of the great person they could become, only to have those dreams battered and broken by the world around them. That's good. That's what you should lead with right there. Put that in big, bold letters. And that is wonderful. I mean, kind of makes up for the other things I've already seen. The world tells them they're not special. Ooh, juicy. Family convinces them to abandon their goals for the safest route, the sure route. Okay, you're starting to lose me here. You're kind of laying it on thick there. I mean, you've already... The first two statements alone is fine. You've already established that the world tells them they're not special. Probably skip out that part where family convinces them to abandon their goal for the safest route. I'm sure it happens in the book, but we can leave that part out. That's just, it's too much. Lauren has been born to cruel parents and raised in an obscure village. Now, see, the fact that the next line talks about her cruel family, it kind of is redundant that you're saying that the family convinces them to abandon and to say that she has cruel parents, because we could probably make that assumption ourselves reading it. Let us make that determination. Don't tell us for us. She's long resigned herself to an unremarkable life under the sway of a father who beats her and a mother who sees her only as a means to a dowry. A little bit on the violent side. Also, probably something along. I'd probably change this. She has long resigned herself to an unremarkable life by parents who only see her for what they can get out of her and punish her when she doesn't fall in line. She's long resigned herself to an unremarkable life of parents who only see her for what they can get out of her and punish her when she doesn't fall in line. So much better. Lauren's dreams have almost burnt out until fate rekindles their spark into a flame that will consume the world. A little bit thick on the fire narrative here. Burned out, rekindled, spark, flame, consume. It's like you're really trying to go with the poetry of things that have already been done. I'd probably do something along the line. I mean, this might be alluding to something, but probably like Lauren's dreams seem all but lost, but something unknown reaches out and touches them. And, something along those lines. I don't know exactly what to do on that one, but I can tell you that just seems a bit weird. Sometimes all we need is a push. I would probably go with something like Lauren's dreams have, but something. Okay, that's what I would do. Lauren's dreams seem all but lost, but something outside reaches out towards her. Something that gives her a little push. See, that's a little bit better. It's still mysterious. It does kind of reveal a plot point, but it can be done in such a way that it still is kind of an unknown thing. When Lauren meets the fugitive wizard Zane, she dares to hope again. Well, this actually now seems redundant. I would take out the Lauren's dreams have burnt out. Sometimes we all need is a push, if you want to keep that part in there. So talk about her family, only looking at her as a meal ticket and punishing her. Ooh, that's good. Her family only sees her as a meal ticket and punishes her when she acts out of turn. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, go with that. And then stop it there and then go to the next part. When Lauren meets a fugitive wizard, Zane, she dares to hope again. You could probably keep Zane in there, but I'd put a comma after fugitive wizard. Escaping her village, she finds the nine kingdoms are more complicated and dangerous than she could have imagined. I'd probably just say the world is more complicated and dangerous than she could imagine. A bit cliched, but it's a lot better than Nine Kingdoms. But at long last, she's ready to face the challenge or die in the attempt. She went from not having any desire for her dreams to now ready to face the challenge or die in the attempt. Okay, that's kind of a rapid change right there. Lauren has reclaimed her dreams, this time for good. Armed with only her wit and courage, she will do anything to become the woman she's always wanted to be. Nightblade, the most renowned thief in all the land. You're going to tell that in 37 pages? I mean, unless that's for the entire series, which you're not indicating. So in all honesty, it sounded good. But first off, you're telling me what to already think, telling me that this is a tale of adventure with characters I'll never forget. You're using these things here. It just seems a little bit deceptive, in all honesty. You start off really, really good. If you were to make some of the changes I suggested, I probably would have gotten it. And probably just stopped it at the world is more complicated and dangerous than she could have imagined. And you could have probably put in there, but she's ready, but she wants to do something with her life. But, something like that. You've lost me, in all honesty. I mean, I really was like there right at the beginning. And I'm sure it's a good book, Garrett, but I mean, that's how you write here. That I can only imagine what you put in the actual story itself. And I understand the summary is a very hard thing to do. I perfectly understand that, but I'm going to have to pass on this one. No, well, I'm looking at The Heretic, but I already own this book, so I'm not going to repeat. Well, let's go ahead and take a look, because so I met this person at Comic-Con. I don't really know him too well. I've had a few email exchanges with him. Seems like a good guy. Let's just do that, see if I can find it. There we go, first one up. So I actually own this book already. I think I won some sort of contest, and I got this book directly from him. So let's go back up. So Joseph Nasis, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. 202 reviews. The Heretic, a Templar Chronicle novel, Volume 1. Yeah, that's great right there. $252 pages, a bit of a read. Wait a minute. Where's the book description? Did that pass it? Oh. I'm looking at the Kindle edition and this one's not, so let's go to that. There we go. All right, let's take a look at this. So this is supposedly a more established writer. Let's see how this does. Modern Templar knights battle the supernatural in this new urban fantasy series from the New York Times and U.S. Today best-selling author Joseph Nasis. Kind of like self-promotion right there, but it's kind of warranted, in all honesty. I mean, if you're a New York Times bestseller and U.S. Today bestseller, you should like pimp yourself out a little bit. So, and right there, right at the beginning, Modern Templar Knight battles the supernatural. All right, so let's look at this. Former SWAT officer Cade Williams is no ordinary man. A chance encounter with a powerful supernatural side there, but it still works. Now he commands the Echo Team, a special ops squad of modern Templar knights. And the things they hunt are far darker and much deadlier than the criminals that he used to face. Okay, so now he commands the Echo Team, a special ops squad. I probably capitalized some of these things, especially like Templar Knights. That's actually good there. and the things they hunt are far darker and much deadlier than the criminals he used to face, I would probably change that than he's ever faced before. So now he commands the Echo Team, a special ops squad of modern Templar knights, as they hunt for things far darker and deadlier than any criminal they faced before. Much better in my opinion. Echo's latest mission has a squad facing off against the Council of Nine, a group of necromancers determined to seize the Spear of Destiny. That's not the end of the sentence, but I do like that. Council of Nine, easy to understand what that is. We don't even necessarily need, I mean, that could be their name, or they could have another name, and that's just kind of a description of them, but that's really good. You know, he didn't start off with a group of necromancers known as the Council of Nine. He did the Council of Nine, a group of necromancers, also very good, and then identifies the Spear of Destiny, a legendary relic whose power they hope to twist to their own ungodly ends. Oh, that's wonderful. Very, very good. He says the Spear of Destiny, then gives a description of what it is. You know, like the Book of Sighs, you know, they say, well, it's going to defeat this enemy, but you don't really say what it. And you give some more description. Your book is called the Sword of Sighs, you know, the Sword of Sighs that can wield a great power to vanquish the foe. You know, something a little bit more than that, since it's called the Sword of Sighs. Let's focus a little bit more on the sword. And, you know, while this is called a heretic and urban fantasy mystery, and the only problem I have with that title, now that I think about it, is he's telling me that it's an urban fantasy mystery. I mean, you don't need to tell me that there, in my opinion. But that's not necessarily enough for me to not read it. Cade and his men cannot allow this to happen, no matter the costs, for the results would be too horrendous to imagine. Bit cliche, but it still works. But the necromancers are allied with the same demon that left Cade for dead 5 years before. A creature so powerful the Templars know it simply as the adversary. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Is revealing a little bit of a plot point, but it kind of leaves us like, well, what happened? You know, how is this all connected? Clearly there's something going on here. In order to keep the spear from falling into enemy hands, Cade is forced to face not only the personal demons kept in his heart, but the very creature who put them there in the first place. Oh, so good. Now you see why I wanted this book. There's a few things that I would personally change, but overall this works. I doubt that Joseph himself wrote it. If he did, that's great, fantastic, not taking anything away from you, Joseph. But in all honesty, this is really good. This is what everyone should try to go with. We establish who the character is. It's not ordinary, has a chance encounter, has unique abilities of the living and the dead, commands a special team. They hunt things that they're not used to hunting. They're going after the Council of Nine, Necromancers, Spear of Destiny. We explain what the Spear of Destiny is. And then reveal something a little bit more about Cade for us to care about him a little bit more. You know, oh, someone left him for dead, an evil demon, and now he must battle against that while dealing with his own personal demons. Oh, that is good. This is what we should be really aiming for. So, yeah. I mean, I could go on about that. I'm just going to say this is what we should be aiming for as writers, is to write something like that. And yeah, I definitely want to read that book one of these days. It's probably going to be in my top 10 of to read. I got a couple more. Let's go ahead and get through this. So definitely check out that book. Demons Sold. You know, it kind of sounds like a auction house. Demons Sold. No? Okay. I won't make that joke ever again. So, Jonathan Moeller, 122 customer reviews. Normally 99 cents. Only 300 pages. Best books of 2014. You know, right away, they're comparing themselves to other writers. Well, I mean, there's some power in doing that, but me personally, I won't do that. That doesn't take away from them, but it's just like, I don't know who any of those people are. Maybe I should know who they are, but I don't. So it doesn't impress me very much. Plus, I mean, it kind of tells me that you're trying to set yourself to their standards and not necessarily to your own standard. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just kind of my first reaction. Here's a new story of sword and sorcery. Lame. No offense, but it's like sword and sorcery, you know, a new book, new story, a new adventure, you know, something to really challenge you, something new and different. You telling me it's sword and sorcery, it feels like it's going to be the same thing I've read. Let's go with this. Banished for 15 years, the wandering knight Mazael Cravenlock returns home at last to the grim marches, only to find war and chaos. The name's a bit odd, but I can understand because you do mention his name a few times in this. But I do like that. He returns home at last to the grim marches only to find war and chaos. Well, it's called the Grim Marches. I mean, I'd be surprised if Grim Marches was, well, it was named after Sir Elton Grimm. It used to be quite a peaceful place until it turned into a swampland. His brother plans a foolish and doomed rebellion. Well, if it's foolish, it kind of goes without saying that it's doomed. His sister hopes to wed a brutal and cruel knight. The whispers speak of living corpses that stalk the night, of demons that lurk in darkness, and a sinister snake cult that waits in the shadows. I would kind of take out the brother and sister from that. You know, talk about the war and chaos and the whispers speaking of living corpses. It's a zombie cult. It's a zombie tale that sounds like. And yet Mazel's darkest enemy waits elsewhere. How about awaits elsewhere? Within his own tainted soul. Yeah, I would take out the brother and sister from that. It seems, I mean, it might be important for the story, but we don't necessarily need to know it in the book description. It kind of seems to derail from what you're trying to describe. Then you're going to give us praise. We can get that down below and tell us about the author. Well, that's what a character profile is. So, and then you have editorial reviews down below. So, I mean, you already have a section for this. Honestly, the book lost me with the brother and the sister and stuff like that. And then comparing yourself to other writers seems a bit on the desperate side. No offense, but that's just my first impression. I don't personally know you, Jonathan Moyer. I'm sure you're a pretty cool guy, and I'm sure it's a good book. But like I said, you know, I only have a few. I don't even know if I'm only going to get through like a third of the books that I've collected. I would like to read every single one of them, and if I could read like a book a day, I'd probably get your book. But I've got to pick which books I'm going to read. You've lost me. Okay, so let's go to our next one. And for anyone else who wants to write a book or is wanting to release one soon, this does make a big difference. They say you should never judge a book by its cover, but in all honesty, people are going to. Now, I'm not looking at the cover itself. And these are some nice covers, kudos to you on that. But, all I have to go on is the description. Now, occasionally I do look at reviews, but I usually start at like the 1 star and the 2 stars to see what people are saying about the book. Because, people who like the book are going to kind of be biased on that. But people who tend not to like the book, they could be biased on it. But it's what they tend to be a little bit more truthful about what's going on. If it's an actual review. If it's just like, oh yeah, this book sucks, it's like, okay, well, you're not telling me anything. You're not telling me why it sucks. So I tend to ignore those. That might be bad of me to do, but again, I've got so many books that I have to read that I've just kind of have to put it through a filtered process. Okay, so we got The Last Dragon Slayer. So that sounds like a epic title. The Deathsworn Arc Book 1. Probably take out the book 1 part, or the book part, just say Death's Arc 1. Deathsworn, though. It's like a weird word. Okay, so 46 reviews. It looks like 4.5 stars there. Let's take a look at this book description. Oh, shout out to Martin Stanley. Alright, so Sal Karza, Wizard of the Empire, has been given a quest by the Empress herself to find and slay a magical noble dragon said to be near invulnerable. That's okay. So you probably just say Sal Karza. Yeah. You should probably say Saul, a Wizard of the Empire, instead of Wizard of the Empire. Just put the word in there. Has been given a quest by the Empress herself. It's weak. It doesn't really sound epic. Saul, a Wizard of the Empire, has been given a quest. So I'd probably take out the Empress herself, because it's like, oh no, the Empress? Oh my god. Has been given a quest to find a mythical noble dragon. Legend has that the noble dragon is invulnerable to all damage. See, what I did there is I kind of put a focus on the noble dragon in its own sentence, but I took out the Empress itself because, well, I mean, who cares at this point? Saul, Wizard of the Empire, given a quest to slay a noble dragon. Legend has it that it's that it's indestructible. Okay, so instead of leading a large band of soldiers, archers, and spellcasters, he sets out with 2 immigrant dock workers and a homeless dwarf. Okay. Could probably just say, he sets out with a small group of misfits that no one thinks will accomplish its goal or something like that. Because it's like, oh yeah, he could have a large band of soldiers, archers, and spellcasters, which you could probably just say, instead of leading a large army, he has 2 immigrant dock workers and a homeless dwarf. Wow. Already sounds like he's going to fail. What Saul needs is a legendary last dragon slayer on his side. Because of his deadly quest, it's not only Saul's favor with the Empress that's at stake, but also his life. Well, yeah, his life would be on the stake there. This is a very bad description. It, no offense, seems to be written by a first-time writer who's still in high school. There's nothing to draw me in. And it's also ages 12 through 18, so it's young adult, and that's possibly why. But even a 12 to 18-year-old might be lost by this. So I'm going to pass on it. One, because it's young adult, and I don't like young adults. But second, because you haven't captured me with this. Before I even saw that this was a young adult fiction, you just already lost me. So, sorry, Martin Stanley. I'm sure it's a very good book for young adults, but I'm probably not your market anyways. Okay, so let's go to the next book. Maybe one or two more. Nameless Dwarf. Because in the desert, you have a dwarf with no name. Da, 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 da. I'm actually looking at this one right here. Although you can get 1 through 5. D.P. Pryor. 40 customer reviews. 147-page book. I love that it says contains real page number. In an ebook, that's a mistake. Likely use create space on this, that's why it says that. Cursed by a demonic axe and fueled with unquenchable bloodlust, the nameless dwarf slaughters his own people in the thousands. Well, if he's cursed, how is he cursed by demonic axe? Can he just not say, you know what, I don't want to kill people. I'll drop this axe into a volcano and walk away. I mean, the survivors flee to the nightmare realm beyond the mountains, where no one has ever set foot and lived to tell the tale. Cliched right there. So for the first sentence, I would say that the nameless dwarf with an unquenchable bloodlust slaughters his own people in the thousands. You could probably say it's a near extinction instead of in the thousands. The nameless dwarf with his unquenchable bloodlust. So we can take out that demonic axe thing right there. Because, cursed by a demonic axe. I don't know. The survivors flee to the nightmare realms beyond the mountains. Why are they going to the nightmare realms? Isn't there another kingdom they can go to for protection? Why is that their first choice? Where no one... It's called the nightmare realms. Of course, no one's ever set foot there and lived to tell the tale. It's called the nightmare realms. Was it named after Hubert Realms? Nightmare Realms? I am Sir Hubert Nightmare Realms. Welcome to my chateau. Freed from the axe, and horrified by what he's done, the nameless dwarf pursues them across the known worlds. He doesn't have to go far. Apparently they can go to the Nightmare Realms. Convinced there can be no atonement, he is prepared to sacrifice everything to save the last of his race from extinction. Well, if they're nearly extinct, going to the Nightmare Realms is not going to help things. I mean, it almost seems pointless to say anything about the Nightmare Realms in this. So I'd probably put that apart the first statement. Or even just take that all together. The near extinction, meaning that there are some survivors, and then talk about that he's freed from his axe somehow. You could even say without that demon axe, just say the nameless dwarf, cursed with an unquenchable bloodlust, hunts his people or slaughters his people to near extinction. So much better, so much easier to read. Sounds so much more epic. And then you can say, skip this part about the survivors, freed from the curse and horrified by what he's done. The nameless dwarf seeks out to find survivors. Convinced that there can be no atonement, he is prepared to sacrifice everything to help his people fight off extinction. The trail leads to the brigand town of Malfred on the fringes of civilizations. So they can go there, but they instead go to the Nightmare Realms. But no one passes through without paying a toll to the underground boss known as the Ant-Man. Harry Prim? It is a toll that has already cost many their lives. It was previously known as the Ant-Man of Malfred. I mean, you kind of lost me right away. I mean, why are they going to the Nightmare Realms? I mean, they're survivors. Do they think that somehow the Nightmare Realms is going to protect them? That nameless dwarf can't get to them, and then he frees himself from it and goes to a town that pay a hefty toll just to go find them. But how did they get there without having to pay this toll? I mean, there already seems to be plot holes in this, and I'm only reading the book description. I shouldn't see immediate plot holes in the book description. So I'm going to be a pass on that one. I already got this book on February 27th, apparently. Four more books. Let's just do one last one. Let's see. I'll name these off that I'm considering, though. Let's see. Called Southern Watch number 1. 126 reviews. And it looks to be kind of a bad book description. I mean, I'll review it in more detail later, but I haven't. Let's see. Land of Shadows, The Legend of the Gatekeeper, Book 1. Sounds interesting. 437 reviews. Jeff Gunzel. Interesting name. It looks like that might be a good one to do. Angel Bound. Seems cheesy. By Christina Bauer. No offense, but it's like the first line reads, 18 years old, and Mila Lewis is a girl who loves two things, kicking ass and kicking ass. Okay, so it sounds really like one thing, so I know that's going to be bad. Nighthawk by Marie Francis, 38 customer reviews, 4.8 stars. Congratulations on that. Alright, so let's go ahead and do Land of Shadows. Last book for tonight. Land of Shadows. So 437 customer reviews. Jeff Gunzel, 206 pages. Okay. Book description tells us that it's book one, but the title also tells us that as well, so kind of like pointless to say it there. And you also say it on the bottom of the book description as well, so it's kind of poor taste right there. Not enough for me not to read it, though. In a land teeming with corruption and immortality, where values are lost and your only hope for survival means ignoring your conscience and becoming as brutal as the rest, the innocent and the soft-hearted always end up last. Sounds like he's trying to take the movie guy approach to this. There's a guy, right? Yeah, Jeff. Okay. But it's a bit on the wordy side. Corruption and immortality. I'd probably choose. If you're going to say, I would probably just say in a land teeming with corruption. Because, I don't know, immortality seems out of place. So what I would do is take out the innocent and the soft-hearted, end up last. Take that away, take out immortality. I would say, in a land teeming with corruption, your only hope for survival means ignoring your conscience and becoming as brutal as the rest. Direct, fast, still get the same message. Eric Athelo, I would probably just say Eric, thought he had his life figured out. The son of a blacksmith. He was born in the town of Briar and spent all of his life there, being trained to follow the footsteps of his father. A bit wordy on that one. The son of a blacksmith. Okay. You could probably take out the town of Briar. Spent all of his life there. What I would probably say is Eric thought he had his life figured out, set to follow in his father's footsteps as a blacksmith. Well, because that's kind of like leading into something else. But you get the sense, you can say all of that in just a few short words. Eric Othello, the son of a blacksmith, thought he had his life figured out, set to follow his father's footsteps and become a blacksmith himself. One day, his whole life is thrown into chaos when flying creatures attack his town. He's uprooted from the familiar surroundings and forced to embark on a journey for answers after finding out his whole life had been a series of lies. Bit wordy on that. So what I would probably go with is one fateful day his life is thrown into chaos when his town is attacked by flying creatures. Sounds a bit odd. So flying creatures, how to work that? I don't know on that one. Probably just take out flying creatures altogether, honestly. So, one fateful day his life was thrown into chaos when a great evil attacked his town. So how is that attack going to uproot him from his familiar surroundings? In a search for answers, he gets attacked and then he finds out that his life has been lies. On one fateful day, his town was attacked by an unknown evil, revealing to him that his life had just been a series of lies. He now is set on a journey to find the truth, accompanied by his only the only true friend he has, accompanied by the only true friend he has, and by a beautiful girl with a mysterious, complicated past who saves his life. Eric heads to the kingdom of Terran, where he will start the journey that leads him to the fulfillment of his destiny. So, yeah. So let me kind of read this over again. Eric thought he had his life. Eric, the son of a blacksmith, thought he had his life figured out. Set to follow in his father's footsteps and become a blacksmith himself. One fateful day, his town was attacked by an unknown evil, revealing that his life had been a series of lies. Now set on a journey to fulfill his destiny. Now set on a journey of truth with his one true friend and a girl, and an unknown girl. So now set on a journey to the kingdom of Terran to help find answers of his life, accompanied by his best friend and a girl of an unknown past. Yeah, you can say it like that. And then this part you could probably take out. A wonderful, intricate, woven tale of heroes and villains. Land of Shadows is the first book. Yeah, you're telling this again, which follows a band of mismatched companions in a fantastical quest through long-forgotten lands. The book is intended for mature audiences. So let's count this here. In the title, you tell us that this is book 1. Right away in the book descriptions, you tell us that this is book 1. In the middle of the book description, you tell us that this is book 1. At the end of it, you tell us this is book 1. You've told us 4 times this is book 1. You don't need to do that. I can understand at the very end. That's fine. I can understand the book title twice. Twice is all you need. Telling us 4 times, or actually now there's a 5th time right here if we scroll up a little bit. Series, The Legend of the Gatekeeper, book 1. You kind of have to do it there. So that's 5 times. 5 times you're telling us this is book 1. That is overkill. That kind of really... Oh, you don't see the rest of this here. I'll show you. So you can count it yourself. That's just too much. We understand it's book 1. Honestly, though, you've kind of lost me. It sounds like... Did you say a beautiful girl? Do we have to know that she's a beautiful girl? I mean... Could she... As opposed to an ugly girl? Of course, everyone in the book is beautiful. That's just how stories are told. So yeah, you've lost me on this story. It sounded like you're trying to go for like an epic thing and kind of failed on that, in all honesty. Once again, no offense to you, but you lost me with the book description. And the 5 times you had to tell me that this was book 1. Don't worry, I understand. This is the first book of your series. You could have saved me having to see it all those times. If you're interested in it, I don't detract you away from reading this. If it sounds like something you want to read, go for it. But for me, I'm not going to read it because I'm lost. Not that I'm lost, but it's lost. It's not giving me a good reason to click the buy, and it's free. So it's not like I really lose anything, but it just gets lost in the clutter. So, I'm sorry, Jeff. It sounds like it's based on the number of customer reviews you got. It seems like it's a good story. And I hope that you do well with it, but... Alright, so that kind of does it for me today. to the video. Stop the screen share. There's me again. So, to all those people that are reviewed that I decided not to buy your book, I do apologize. Like I said, I have a bajillion books that I need to read. Still need to finish the one that I'm currently reading, which I'm not liking very much, but I promised the author that I would read it and give him an honest review, and he's a pretty good guy. I've met him twice at Comic-Con and, once a few years back and then at the last one. So, I want to support him, but I'm probably not going to give him a very favorable review. I'm going to try, but, it's not going to be that favorable. I need to finish that book. I've got a lot of other books I have to read. So I'm not saying that these books are bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you don't get me with the description, and it's like all I've got is the description. What is going to compel me to read your book over the other 200 books that I have on my Kindle Cloud that also sound better than what you've given me? So I know how messed up that sounds, and I do apologize for that, but I hope that for any aspiring writer, you take your book description seriously, because people are going to be looking at this and make a decision based on your cover, on your, if you're with a publishing house. I'm not, so that's going to be judged against me already. I'm an unknown name, so that's judged against me already. So, you already have enough strikes against you if you're in the position I'm in. You need to take advantage of everything you can, and book description is one of them. You don't want people to judge you on that. Well, you're going to be judged on that, but you don't want a bad judgment based on that. You want to try to do as best of a job as you can. Let's take a quick look at my book. I'm not going to show you this because I want to look like I'm trying to cater you to buy it. But it is called Terror and Psychosis. I kind of broke my rule of calling it the Cosmic Revolt Series Book 1. But that was before I really knew about that rule. So, strike off there for me on that one. It's gotten 9 reviews so far, 4.6 star average. There's one small little paragraph. A man who thinks he's an alien finds himself in a mental institution. He has been visited by many doctors. None of them were able to help him. The hospital has brought in a specialist to try to get some answers. The specialist is the top of his field, and he may be able to unlock the secrets of the patient and be able to answer, is he an alien or simply a man seeking attention? So what I did there is I'm actually revealing some background information that gets you to the beginning of the book. It doesn't necessarily reveal any plot details, except for the fact that right away we know that there's a doctor and a patient, and the patient thinks that he's an alien. So, and, I really tried hard to subscribe to this idea of the movie voice. It's a little bit weak. It sounds like more of a whisper than the epic movie voice guys sound, but that's kind of what I was going with as well. So that was very much done on purpose. It's a short book. It's only it says print length is 37 pages, but the actual story is 33 pages. So, and I don't have anything else listed there. I don't have, what people have said about my book. I don't have, I don't have go check out my other books here, over here, So, and then you can go and look at the reviews themselves. So, I am practicing what I preach. It's not 100%, but I try to get as close as I can. And I'm not going to use the series anymore for anything in the future unless it's important that I do. So, I'm not just spouting off like, oh, well, you should do it, but I'm not going to do it. I am practicing this. And then, well, I'll do my other book that I have on the market. I actually have 3 books on the market, but the third was an anthology book. So, Scraping By, which was my first book, has only had 1 review on it. A couple of people have told me that they liked it, but it's not really my best work. But Royer is a simple man. He leads a simple life. He is a space scavenger and has the opportunity of a lifetime. But when things don't go as planned and pirates show up, how willing is Royer to hold onto his dream? Royer is not a common name, so it does strike it out a bit, but sometimes you have to put a character's name in there for your description, even if it's a weird one. It's short, simple, to the point. It's only 15 pages, too, so it's definitely short. And I did put in there, contains adult content. So I am practicing what I preach. Like I said, writers, your book description is as important as the book itself. It's going to give people a look into what your book is about. You've got to do a little bit of the razzle dazzle. And I know it seems like you're selling your soul to do that. But in this day and age, we live in the YouTube generation, in all honesty, where people can get anything like that. And to ask them to read your book takes time. So you've got to give them a really good reason to read it. And if you got to, do jazz hands to do it, I don't know if that's actually jazz hands, I've just seen it on TV, but if you got to put on a little bit of a show just to do it, do it. Because people are going to judge you for that. And that's kind of the whole point of this. I've been noticing this for the past 2 days, and I just really wanted to put it out there. So, of those authors that I reviewed today, sorry that this has been at your expense. Please know that I mean no disrespect, and I'm sure you have very good stories. You definitely have a lot of people who think you do. I do look forward to the ones that I got. If you want to contact me and, talk to me about your story a little bit, if you think that I've judged it unfairly, I'm willing to talk about it with you and maybe look at it further. One other quick announcement I want to make. One thing that I will be doing, because, sometimes I read a book and then I just don't like it and I throw it away. But I think there's an important lesson to be learned in that. So I'm going to do what's called the 10% reviews. 10% reviews is where I read 10% of the book. Because by that point, if I'm not interested in the book, I'm going to stop. And that's just the way I am. I have more than enough books to read. And it's not that I'm callous or anything. And sometimes you have to continue reading to get past that. But if you can't grab my attention by 10%, if you have a 300-page book, if you can't grab me in 30 pages, you're probably not going to grab me in the rest of the book. Sorry for that. My throat is really dry. So I'm going to do 10% reviews, and they're going to be video reviews, so I'm going to discuss the book, what I like and what I don't like about it. This will be for every single book that I read. Probably the first one I'm going to do is Jason Hogue, Darwin Elevator. I've been really looking forward to reading this since I met the man at Comic-Con. I'm going to start with his book, and I'm probably going to read it all the way through with all the good things I heard about it. But once I get to the 10% mark, I'm going to do a video review, and I'm going to have a grading system. Now, anything that's 80% above that I give, I'm going to give a percentage. I'm not going to give any star rating reviews or write any reviews on it unless I actually finish a book, just to be fair. But if I give an 80% and above, that means I'm going to finish the book. It's going to be very hard to get 100%. I'm using a 12-point grading system to determine how well I like the book. Now, if it's 70% and above, I will go to the 50% mark and give it at least till that point to determine if I like it. Now, I'll always round up to the full chapter of it as well. So if I 50% marks right in the middle of a chapter, I'll finish the chapter and then make the decision. And if I continue to have like a 70% or above on that, then I'll finish the rest of the book. 60% or above, I will read to the next 10%. So I'll go to the 20% mark of the book and make a further judgment on there. If I improve to a 70%, then I'll go to the 50% mark and what have you. If it's below 60%, I'm going to stop reading the book. Now, if fans out there who like the book want to say, no, you need to read it, try to convince me, I may do it within 30 days, though, because I'll probably move on to another book. And the writers themselves, if you really want to urge me to read it, I might, but be aware that I am going to give an honest review, as I would want you to do for me. And this is not to be malicious to anyone. It's that I want to give more attention to writers out there. But also there is a lesson to learn that if you cannot capture someone within the first 10% of a book, you are doing something wrong. So it's a lesson that I take very seriously. So anyways, that does it from me. Thank you for joining me today. I hope people have found some great value in this. I thank you to all of the writers that I reviewed today. I wish you a lot of luck. I wish you a lot of success. The writing business is hard, and I'm sure I haven't made it any easier for you. If you like the suggestions I gave, go ahead and use them. I give those to you for free because I want to help you, especially those that I was critical on. If it helps you sell more books, use it. You don't need to credit me. I'm just happy to help. Anyways, that's it from me. Take care.